And I'm sure, I bet it was just awful to hear all that crying and screaming, let us in, let us in. Ah. First they probably just thought it's, you know, I'm sure just going to come a little rain. And then I guess when they start seeing that, because I'm sure that ark sit there for a good while for that water to come. I know Sister Nancy would have brought up, wonder how much water it took. Is that what you would ask? To get that, lift that ark up? Is that what you was saying, how much water? Because you can imagine that's a big, heavy ark. I mean, it's big. I mean, that's just like, take one of them big cruise ships. Say if it was sitting on dry land. How much water would it take to actually lift that thing up? Off of water. So you got to look at how much water. So I'm sure that ark sat there for a good while, even when that water started getting right here on some of the neck. That's probably crying in, let us in, let us in. And couldn't get in because God didn't shut the door. Man didn't shut the door. It says the Lord shut them in the ark. They was in the what? Safe place. So now, any questions before we continue on with this lesson? Oh, go ahead. Oh, somebody had it?
You know, with the ark being that big and that long, and you know, with all of the animals and Noah's family, you know it would have to take a tremendous amount of water to even lift that ark. So when I was studying about it, even the beneath the ground started cracking, and the water started emerging upwards, you know, to bring that ark.
Right.
And that's what I was studying about. I mean, it had to take enormous pressure to bring that ark up off of the, you know, off from the ground. And that's just, when you get to thinking about that ain't nobody but God allowing the beneath water and the above water to come together and submerge to lift that ark up.
That's right.
And I just really love this lesson because it's really opened my eyes on a lot of stuff. I mean, yeah, we read it, but do we really let it sink in and say, hey, look what God can do? You know, and He's a big ark. I mean, if He can lift that ark, look what else He can do.
That's right, Nancy. Come on, give God a hand praise. I like that. He can lift the ark. I'll call him here. Is that right? Because we serve a great big God. But like she said, if we could get to that point, to that place, to know how much of a big God that we truly serve, that He's able and capable to do what? Anything, all things, but what? Fail. He can never fail. But He's able to do what's impossible for man is what? Possible with God. That's why when we can't do it, when we say, oh Lord, this is beyond my control, I can't do it, this is impossible, it's too hard, give it to God and leave it. We want to give things to God, but then we want to keep trying to take it back. How many of y'all know I've been there? But Lord, it's in your hands, God. I give it to you. And then I'm still trying to do something with it. He's sitting there looking at me. I don't know, you're going to wear yourself out till you fully give it to me. Is that all right? Because that's what we do. And I know God he probably just laughs at it. It's like, look at it, bless their hearts. I told him I had it. It's the easy thing for me to fix. If they won't know how to try and fix it themselves, I'm just going to let them wear themselves out. Because I mean, you know you wear yourselves out. Trying to fix something that you can't fix. But if you just wait on God, so what, Sister?
I said we'd make a mess.
Yeah, that's right. We make a mess all the time. So just if we can get to that point, just know that God He's everything that we need Him in our lives. He's able to do any and everything that we ask Him to do. So, but we just got to get to that point to where we trust Him even the more. Is that all right? And let Him handle it. So now, go ahead, Mom.
Can I say something? Just kind of piggyback what Sister Nancy was saying, you know, that it was God, because, you know, if you look in Psalms, you know, before, you know, God marked the foundation, He gave all these oceans and rivers and all these things boundaries. So it wasn't like they just overfilled themselves. He gave them boundaries. So at this point, He released those boundaries, and it's amazing that, you know, out of all the rains that probably came, the ocean never overflowed itself. You know, and so I thought that was.
But you got to remember though that it had never rained. Right, it had never rained And so, and that's another thing too. I guess the people was like, you know, well, what in the world is this? It's never done this before, but we'd be all right. But not knowing, they wasn't inside, they wasn't in that safe place. So that's why it's good to be in a safe place, in the hands of safety with God. How many know that? I don't want to be outside of His will, because when you're outside of His will, you're no longer in that what? In that safe place. So how do I get outside of His will? That's right, disobedience. Doing your own thing, that's right. Not listening to God, but being disobedient. You cause yourself to be out of the will of God, because it's no longer, it's all about what you want to do, what you trying to do, but not what God wants to do, but what God wants to do what in you and through you. But now we're on the outside of His will, and now we wonder why all this is coming on us. Why is all this happening to me? You know, I don't understand. We're going to let me on my pity party. I don't understand what's going on, Pastor. Could you pray for me? I'm just having a hard time. I don't know why. Yeah, you know why. Because you're outside of the will of God. Is that right? I've been there and I know. Wonder why things is happening. Now, some things you're just going to go through, and that's just for what? Because you're serving God, and it's just your test and trial. But some things you wonder why it should not be happening, and it's happening. Check and see where you're at. Is that all right? Check and see where you're at in Christ. If you're inside His will or what? Outside His will.
You know, it's funny that we talking about this, because I was just talking to my wife about this. And I was like, okay, I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm reading my Bible. But yet still, I'm sitting up in the sleep. And nobody told me a lot of times God got to save you from you. A lot of times He got to stop you from you. Because, you know, when it comes down to patience and relying on God and trusting on God, so I'm the type, okay, man, God ain't moving fast, I'm going to go do it myself, I'm going to try it my way, I'm going to do it my way. But it all the time failed. But I had to sit back and think, okay, God is asking me to trust Him. It's a level of faith that He gives us. And so a lot of times our faith wavering, and God knows that we're not where we should be in our faith. So He got to put us in a place where we ain't got no choice but to trust Him. No choice but to have faith in Him. And that's where I'm at right now. Today I've learned that doing things my way ain't always the best way. I've learned how to rely on God, trust in God. Yeah, things have happened, things are occurring, things are still going on, but yet still, He said, I've never seen my righteous forsaken, on my seed being bread. I ain't been hungry, my lights are still on, my bills are still paid. But, you know, doing all that, I'm learning to have faith and trust in God. And it don't come easy. It don't come easy. And I had to sit back and I had to really think about this thing. It don't come easy. But once you learn to depend on God and put all your all into God and His Word, He said His Word doesn't come back to Him void. He's a God that don't lie. He said He'll take care of me. So it's time for me to sit back and watch God do what He do. Instead of trying to do God's job, trying to move ahead of God. And see, and that's where I'm at right now today. I had to learn that it ain't my way. It ain't my will. I have to do according to God's way, God's will. And when God tells me to stand still and let Him fight my battles, let Him take care of everything, I have to do just that. But before I got hurt, I wasn't trying to hear all that. I was trying to go out and do it myself. But He said, I'm going to stop you from you. I'm going to show you that until you fully trust in me, nothing is going to go right. And I had to accept it. And so now I'm at the point where, okay, God, you said it, so I'm going to hold you to your word. And we can hold God to His word because He said, if He said it, then it's already done. But we have to have faith and trust and know that it's done. Just because God said that don't mean we believe it, we trust it. So He's getting me in a place now where I got to rely on His word. I got to trust in Him in every area of my life. In everything that I'm doing, I got to trust God. I have no other choice.
Come on, give God a hand for us. That's awesome. So that's what happens a lot of times. We get in a hurry. How many of y'all get in a hurry? If we feel like God ain't moving fast enough, we want to help Him, don't we? But Lord, you're moving a little too slow. Let me help you, Lord. You know, let's speed it up. And God said, no, it ain't the time yet, but you still trying to help God because you all impatient, and then it becomes a what? It becomes a mess. Instead of just letting God and us taking our time and just waiting. That's the thing, just learning to wait. That seems so hard for us to do, is to wait. Because if it ain't coming early, fast enough, we want everything microwavable. You know how fast you can cook things in a microwave. That's how we want our lives. But our lives is not a microwave. How do you know that? Some things you just got to learn to wait. Wait on that process. Wait on God to fix it. Wait on God to send that one into your life. Don't jump the gun. Sometimes we wonder why. Well, Lord, now I'm in this relationship. Man, oh man, all I got is headache. Now I know with marriages there's going to be some ups and downs, but it ain't going to be from day one. It's not going to be just like, I'm already ready to get a divorce. Because now I didn't wait on God. And now it's just a mess, and now he's just getting on my nerves. When I just look at him, he just moves his mouth wrong. He's on my nerves. How he backs his eyes, and yeah, you should have waited. Because now you know it wasn't the one for you. That's why I don't care if it takes 10 years. I'm waiting on that right one. So look at your neighbor and say, wait.
Wait.
You waiting, wait. So you can be happy. So I think that's in the hand.
No, wait.
Oh, wait, get a mic. Do we have an extra mic over there? Y'all got one over here?
Look.
You'd already said it. I was going to kind of piggyback off of what he had said, being still. That's where I'm at. Is learning to try to be.
I think I got one sneaking up on
still and be patient. So like you said, I can speak for myself because
we'll see how it goes.
So quick, I want to jump that gun, and get ahead of what God has in store for me, has planned for me and for us, and so quick, I want to do that, do it myself, and think, I'm still doing it right, it's all going right, and all of a sudden it just turns to mushy hands, and you're like, well, picking up the mess and trying to put it back together, and it still ain't working. Like you said, you gotta trust God wholeheartedly and just let it go, and when you let it go, it's the weight off your shoulders. You can really feel it's like a relief and a release, and that's where I'm at with it right now. A couple of things, just learning to be patient, to be still, still be obedient, to what I'm supposed to do in my life and with us and with friends and family and all that, but just learn to be still and be patient and let him do his job and everything will be all right.
That's right. Come on, give God a hand for this. Learn to wait and be patient.
It's kind of, what Chris is talking about with patient. It always brings me to when I thought that I was supposed to got a supervisor's job right then, and the opportunity was there, but it wasn't my timing, and I jumped the gun, and I did a lot of things trying to make it happen, and even when Sister Tanya was in the office, I went through all this thing, put the resume together, and I'm trying to get this resume together, and I put it on the computer, and it disappeared away from the computer. We couldn't find it that night, and we kept looking, I kept looking. Finally, I found it. Instead of me going, okay, well, maybe it's not that time, I'm going to keep pushing it, and then I went to print it out. It wasn't no paper in the printer, but yet still, I still want to push it, so I said, what, I'm going to email it to my email at Word, and ended up emailing an encrypted file to the job, and so when I got it, it was nothing but a bunch of numbers and scribbles and all this other stuff, but still, I still wanted to push it, and needless to say, at that time, the job was not mine. Because of, whatever the situation, whether it was my disobedience, whether it's whatever it was, things that, I felt like I was ready, but God said, okay, wait a minute, there's some issues and things that need to be taken care of. And then when it was God's timing, it went straight in. With no issues, no problems, no headaches, I second guessing myself, should I, would have, So patient, Bible says that patience have its perfect work, and that's what that is, you know, and I know it's hard to wait. Nobody, you know, we're a microwave generation and we want everything right now, but we wait, God will give you that perfect plan for your life.
I witnessed him, he was getting frustrated, y'all. And I mean, it's like it didn't disappear. Because I was looking for, I said, well, what? That was just out of the blue, it disappeared. But, you know, but thank God that sometimes, like times like that, he won't let us go ahead and, you know, supposing if he would have let that go through and it wouldn't even, for you, then you would have missed out on where you're at now. So thank God for his grace and his mercy. How many of y'all thank God for that?
Yeah.
So, looking back, so anybody else? We're going to finish this and we're going to finish next week. Today's lesson too. Now, we're on, so someone read 17 and 18. Okay?
And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and buried the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. You know what I looked at when I was reading this is that, just to go back a little bit, is that, you know, again, there never had been rain before, so this was something new to the people. All right, but what I looked at is that, and what jumped out to me was that when too late is just too late. You know, you figure prior to this happening, the people did what they wanted to do. They married, they did everything they wanted to do, even though no one was letting them know to repent, you know, to turn away from what they were doing. They still continued, not knowing that it was going to rain one day and it wasn't going to stop. But I look at that even in our lives is that what we always look at, you know, how the human mind works is that if there's a starting point, there's an ending point. You know, we look at that, okay, if I start here, I'm going to end here. But our minds can never fathom. One thing we can't fathom is eternity or infinite. Something that continues to go. We can't fathom that. I don't care how much we may think on it. We can't fathom something starting and not stopping, because we're just not programmed that way, and so to speak. So when you look at this and it rained and it did stop, and I believe you used this last week, was that, you know, it rained one time in Morristown and it stopped, and, you know, people were like, oh, whatever the case may be, but this was continuance. It rained day and night, It did not stop, it did not cease. But sometimes, you know, in that, you know, even not, you know, this is concerning the spiritual side of things, but even in the natural side of things is that when too late is that God can tell you to take care of some things, and we sit back and wait and we figure we have time. And then what happens is that we end up in a worse position because, wow, we didn't take care of the things that God said take care of. And that's even concerning our natural life. We can always say, well, you know, God is good and we can hide behind the word of God or whatever the case may be, but then our natural life is a mess. I was like that. Yeah, I was serious about the spiritual things. I was serious about God's business, but my natural life was a wreck. I wasn't taking care of my credit. I wasn't being responsible with the money that I had. I wasn't being a good steward over my money. So when too late was too late, I found myself in a position to where I needed to help. I could not help because why? I didn't take care of I'm sorry I'm going a little off, but I couldn't take care of what I needed to take care of at the time I did, because why? Too late was just too late. And this is what happened to them. So like you said, someone was like, let me get into art. No, you had your time. I gave you the chance, I gave you the opportunity. While I was telling you to turn away from your evil way, you still continue to figure that you had time. So now that time has passed you by, it's too late. So that's just what jumped out to me. When it's too late, it's just too late. So I say this to say that is that when something is in you to do it while you can, because you don't want to wait, because God sometimes is pressing on us to do things because he sees what's going to happen before we see it. So therefore, you know, even with myself, the position that I'm in right now is that whatever opportunity God gives me, and I know Pastor says a lot, that I will seize every opportunity. I will seize every moment that I have, because why? I don't want my late to be too late for me to where I end up missing God or missing the things that God has for somebody. I don't want to end up missing the things that God has for me. So what God tells me to do, I'm going to do it. And yes, I understand it can be sometimes a challenge. It can sometimes be difficult. But like apostles say, it's doable. So it is doable. God always makes a way for us to do it. But I just love this part. you know, even when, you know, Sister Nancy was talking about, it must have took a lot for the waters to even lift the ark up. You couldn't even only imagine, you know, if I could just go and see what was going on. These people that are around the water is lifting, and they have no place to go, and they have no safety place to go. And they probably in their mind before they took their last breath and said, oh God, I wish I could have just listened while you told me to turn away. God, I wish I just could have, and boom, their life gone.
Come on.
Because wow, too late was too late. They played around with it and they thought they had a time, and God is talking to us even on today, is that, you know, where you are right now is that if you're in a place in your life where you know God is telling you to do something different, it's best that you do something different, not tomorrow, but right now. Because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. I don't care how holy you live, I don't care what type of life you live, tomorrow is not promised to you. So therefore, you need to take care of what you need to take care of today. Is that all right? And that's what they didn't understand. So therefore, that's what I got to wipe all my mouth. But I would say Noah and his family, because why? They were righteous. I honor them, and I want to be honored by God. I don't know about nobody else, but I want God to honor me. So whatever I do, I make sure that I do it to the best and to what God has me to do. You know, and that's just what I want to say about that.
Come on, give God a hand for it. That's powerful. We thank God for our pastor. Thank you. And our associate pastor, the best associate pastor, we're blessed here with a life. Okay, so now let's go on to he did 17, 18. Do 19. We got to get this done. 19, 20, 21. Do 3. We're going to move on to the next lesson. Who wants to do 3? Go ahead.
And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both the fowl and the cattle and the beast, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. And here it says that the waters just continued to rise until the waters continued to rise upon the earth, and it floated, and the ark floated upon the waters. That's really no, I was supposed to start on 19, sorry. Well, the water becomes so deep that it covered the highest mountains and the highest hills. And the Mount Everest was the highest mountain, and it was 29,035 feet above the sea level. And 15 cubits is 22 feet above the highest mountains, and the waters rose upon the earth, making sure that no man or beast was alive. And all living creatures died in the flood, and all human beings died.
Now I was talking with Pastor about that mountain. Now, how many of y'all know, I don't think Mount Everest was back then, right, Pastor? Mount Everest. But I know she had it, one time we had this in Bible study, she was bringing it out just so that we could see how tall a mountain really is, you know. So Mount Everest in our time would be the tallest mountain. Like she said, 29,000 feet above, 29,000 and then some above sea level. So, but when you look in the Bible, what I found was pretty much Mount Ararat. Is that correct? That's right. Was pretty much the tallest mountain. How many of y'all got that? Yeah. Anybody got Mount Ararat? You did, Sister Nancy? Yeah. You said yes? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Mount Ararat. And it's actually 16,000. Now this is in the biblical days, back in Noah's day. Mount Ararat was 16,854 feet. So, and I even looked at Mount Sinai, it was 7,000. So we know it couldn't have been the highest mountain. So Mount Ararat being the highest mountain then, so as she just read in verse 20, 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. So it went, how many of y'all got what 15 cubits on?
Cubit is 1.6 inches, so 22.5.
22.5 feet.
22.5.
Right, 22.5 feet. So that's what 15 cubits is. So you've got Mount Ararat being 16,854 feet. So the waters prevailed even 22 more feet on top of that. So that's how much? Well, that still brings you at 16,000 something feet, right? Because it ain't 22,000 feet, it's 22 feet. So that brings you to about 16,876 feet. But that's still tall, right? That's still tall. So imagine, you know, I mean, this is hard for us to imagine looking at our tallest mountain now, and if waters were above that tallest mountain. That had to be, you know, a scary sight. Which, I mean, by then they didn't get to see it because they done perished. Once it got above their head. So I wouldn't go trying to swim and backstroke on that water. You sure can. You sure can. You get tired anyway after day one, boy, it'd be it. You talking about, it rained, well, it rained 40 days and 40 nights, but look how long are we going to get to how long the water stayed on the land. So nobody could, God made sure, no, you ain't going to survive this. You had your chance, this is it. I'm going to destroy you all. So with no survival, none of this. So now, let's see, where'd you stop at, Father? Does anybody have any questions about the mountain and how high it went? Okay, somebody read 22 and 23 and 24. And we'll go to it. Yeah, 22, she stopped at. Oh, she read 21. And our flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beasts and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon them. So God destroyed everything. Go ahead, verse 22. Oh, who's reading? Oh, go ahead, Dick.
And in those nostrils was the breath of life. All that was in the dry land died. Every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both men and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive. And they that were with him and the waters prevailed upon the earth, and 140 days. Whatever you got out of this is that after God had placed them and told them to go to the ark. That was me. I'm looking at this and I'm trying to get a view of spiritually what this is saying. You know, when you are in the will of God and you are under the covering of God, you are safe. And everything, it said everything that was outside the ark was on dry ground, died. That's like us when Christians being saints and Christians of God, believers in God. As long as we're in the will of God will take care of us. He's going to secure us. We're going to be safe in His arms. But once you get out of the will of God and get out of the comfort of God, then everything might happen. Detriment might happen. Things might happen in our life. But right here, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at, okay, everything on ground, on land died. They was in the safety of the ark. God kept them. God protected them. Even though the waters prevailed over them, God they was in the comfort and the safety of God. But once with the people that was outside, they got out of the comfort of God, God was in, they were doing everything they wanted to do, they perished. They died. And that's what life is. As long as you're in the will of God and you're doing the things of God and doing what God has you to do, according to being obedient, you know, reading the Bible, going to church, fasting, praying, doing everything that God has us to do, then you're in the safety of God. As long as you trust in God and being obedient to God, you're in the safety of God. But once you stop that cycle and you get out of the will of God and you get out of the presence of God, then anything may happen to you. Detriment may come to you. And I thank God for showing me, you know, in looking at this out in my own life. As long as I'm in the care of God and trusting God and believing in God, you know, He said, I never leave you nor forsake you. He is not going to let anything come. He said, no weapon formed against you should prosper. But once you get out of the will of God, anything will happen. Anything will come upon you. Anything will happen to your life. Anything will happen to your family. It is important to stay prayed up, stay fasting up, stay in the Word, and stay committed to God, because as long as you're in the will of God, there's safety, there's freedom in the will of God.
That's right. Come on, give God a hand praise. And you know what? 22, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died. You know, when you look at God, when he made man, he breathed the what? His breath of life. So I'm looking at all these people who God had breathed his breath into their body, had to what? Come back and take that breath. And just the same today, God has breathed his breath of life in all of us. And one day God can come back and take his what? Very breath of life from you. So that's why we got to walk around being grateful, being thankful that I'm still in the land of the living, that I'm still breathing, because this breath belongs to God. There's nobody else gave it to me. I'm breathing because of him. He got his spirit in me, keeping me a living soul. So when we take God's breath for granted, just like these people did, God breathed, he gave them life, but they took him for granted. He said man's heart was what? Evil. They weren't thinking about serving God. They weren't thinking about what? Living holy. So, but to realize that, you know, we breathing is God that wakes us up every day. It's not our alarm clocks. Because how many of y'all have woke up on time without your alarm clock? So it wasn't your alarm clock that did it. It was who? It was God that he allowed you. He's still breathing through you while you sleep. He's still breathing his breath, but still we wake up. We can't even thank God for waking me up with the right mind. Thank you for just letting my foot step out of bed. But we just get on up about our day and ain't even grateful because of God's breath still what? Breathing through me and living for the man who's living for the God who is what? Breathing his life. I'm living because of him, so I want to live my life for him. Is that all right? Not for somebody that didn't even give me life. The devil ain't gave me nothing.
I know
he ain't gave me nothing but a headache. How many of y'all know that? But a headache. But why not live your life for the one who's what? Gave you that breath of life. Is that all right? That just stood out to me right there because of all the ones he gave breath of life to that he breathed, he had now to allow them to perish in the floods. So now, we're going to go on and move on to our next lesson. We did hand out, you could, Pastor Ty, I think our Deacon Monty had
He got it.
Oh, okay. And we got one extra one. If anybody wants it, that's going to be here for Sunday school, these are Sunday school books. They're not to take home and never come to Sunday school. Is that all right? We give these books out for a reason. Is that all right? I mean, that's just the truth. We spend money on these books, so we give them out. Now, we can give you the lessons if you don't think you're going to be coming to Sunday school. We'll give you the lessons to read at home, but these are for students who's going to be coming to Sunday school. Is that all right?
That's good.
Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 8. This is our last lesson in this book. We may not finish it, but at least we got there, y'all. Yay! Okay, the subject is Thanksgiving and a promise. And our lesson is coming from Genesis chapter 8, verses 15 through 22. And I'm just going to go ahead and read our golden text. Our golden text is Genesis chapter 8, verse 20. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. Now, just in case we don't get to verse 20, y'all remember when we talked about how, we've all been taught that it took 2 of each kind of the animals, but we learned to find out that he took more than those 2. Is that right? Of the same kind. Because why? Now you see in verse 20 that he had to do what? He built an altar and did what? He did what? Oh, wait. What? That's right. So now if he had done that with the 2 of each kind that he did, and God said take each 2 of each kind so that they can what? Be fruitful and multiply. If he had to use them for the burnt offering, what would have happened? That's right. Wouldn't have been no much. You probably wouldn't see no doves today.
That's right.
You probably wouldn't see whatever else you wouldn't see today, because why? He would have been burning up in the offering. So that's why God had him to take those extra ones, those clean ones, so for this time that he could do the burnt offering. Now, let's go back in, we're in our lesson. I just want to bring that out because we may not get to verse 20. Somebody read 15 and 16. Yeah, we've got it like that.
Genesis chapter 8, 15 and 16. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons wives with thee. And this is almost just self-explanatory. God was giving Noah instructions for Noah and his wife, and his sons' wives to exit the ark, that he's restarting the receipt of the water, and it's, he was being obedient to what God said. And something that I had actually found out that I didn't know. Noah was a ninth descendant of Adam. That was just something a little extra that I had found. But other than that, that's pretty much what I got. He was being obedient to what God had told him to do.
All right. And if y'all read before this, if you read like chapter 8, verses 1 through 14, that's when it begins to tell about how the water started descending, and how Noah sent out a raven first, and then he sent out a dove. And you know that window had to be really tiny that Noah couldn't even look at to see like where the waters were at. So he sent out, and the dove came back, and then he sent out again, and he came back with a olive leaf, and he knew the difference between just the olive leaf floating in the water or if it was freshly plucked. There was a difference. So he knew then, okay, this is a freshly plucked olive leaf. So once he sent him out again, the dove did not return, so he knew then, okay, then the waters the dove found the resting place. Is that all right?
And isn't that something to Tanya that it's an olive leaf?
That's what I know, right?
And the reason why it's so important was the
Olive leaf, because
it represents Jesus Christ.
that's it.
Being the oil, in that life, and also dying on it.
When I read that too, I said, man, it was out of all the leaves it could have been, it was the olive leaf. That's awesome. Okay, y'all go home and read the rest. Okay, we went down to verse 20 ahead of time. So I hope y'all got something from the beginning of this lesson to this end. And God is coming back again, and it's not going to be a flood.
Come on.
It's going to be what? Fire and brimstone. So you better be ready. If you ain't ready, you have time to prepare.
That's right.
Now, every day you come to this church, or just Sunday through Sunday, you have time to prepare for his coming. Is that all right? You don't waste no more time. Don't think, well, I just want to wait a while. You might not have a while. God might be coming to you in the next second, the next minute, the next hour.